Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Ang mga kapangyarihan, kami po ay nagpupurit, nagpapasalamat sa mga biyayang binigay niyo ngayon sa amin upang kami ay inyong gabayan tungkol sa turismo. Ito po ay preparasyon. Kung sakali man, ito ay mabuksan. Kayo po ang bahala sa amin. Kayo po ang maggabay. Kung anong tamang na namin gawin. Maraming salamat po sa aming mga speaker upang kami ay maliwanagan, lalong-lalo na sa mga hotels and resort establishment. Kayo po ang bahala tumulong sa amin, gayon din sa ating Inang Maria. Ang lahat pong ito ay aming idinudulog sa inyo. At maraming salamat po sa Marinduque Tourism Council at sa provincial government at binigyan tayo ng pagkakataon na magkaisa ngayong umaga. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen.
So please remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
So, pwede na po tayo maupo. And again, we would like to announce again the changes in our program. So, the induction of the Tourism Council members will be held on the second part after the roundtable discussions. And now, to warmly welcome us to this gathering and also to present the profile of the Marinduque Tourism Development Council, we will have our persistent president, a true tourism advocate, the owner of the Dream Favor Travel and Tours Agency, which is the first accredited tour operator in the province, none other than Ma'am Susan M. Nasser.
Alasin ko lang po yung face mask. Wala yung mga mask. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kami po'y nalulugod at kami pinagtulutan niya na magkasama-sama po tayo ngayon. Makikita niyo po na yung pagamat yung iba ay makahahabol, yung iba naman po ay nasa Zoom. So, at nakikinig sila. So, sa ating pong mga speakers, Dr. Caballes po, at saka kay Dr. Garcia. Magandang umaga po. Sa mga si Mayor yata din. Magandang umaga po. Salamat po, Sir Bong. Raza na Torrejos, maraming salamat. Sir Jerry Familia ng ating Provincial Tourism Council. Tito Eli, obligasyon, magandang umaga po. Ang ating masisipag na mga municipal tourism officer, delegate pala ang daw po sila. Kaya yun ang next. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat ngayon. Sa mga guest po, mga private sector na nandito. Nandito ang si Miss Polar. Si Miss Polar, yes. Si Colonel Manuba po ng Farm Tourism Association of Island Marinduque Association. ang association po ng Nangka. Chito Morada, magandang umaga din po. Saan pa ang association nandito? Mr. Rio Floredo po ng Sunrise. Sunrise. Magandang umaga po. At sa lahat ng mga kasama natin na nasa kanilang nasa ibang lugar po, para maiwasan ng social distancing, nasa Zoom po sila ngayon. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Today is the day that the Lord has made. We were gathered here together as one family in the tourism industry. Ika nga nila, together we fall, together we will rise again. And that is why Tricon was conceptualized by the group. So, welcome to Marinduque Tourism Industry Conference. Last year po, bago dumating ang pandemic, ang saya ng lahat ng mga taga-tourism industry. Parang ang sigla-sigla ng probinsya, parang ang dami-daming bisitang darating, nakikita na tayo sa national television. So sabi namin, eto na yung simula. Pero dumating si COVID, hindi naman natin imbitado to. Nung dumating si COVID, tourism industry stops. Everybody, not only in Marinduque, pero sa buong mundo. Tumigil po tayo. Akala natin, 3 buwan lang. Siguro mahaba na yung 6 na buwan. Oh my God! Hanggang ngayon, eto pa rin tayo. Wala pa rin. So, anong gagawin natin? Titigil na lang ba tayo? Or gagawa tayo ng paraan? Kasi, di na daw babalik ang dating normal. Kahit dumating pa si vaccine, wala na tayong babalikang normal. Ang babalikan natin ay new normal. Ano ba yung new normal? Ito po yung maraming maririnig natin sa new normal. Face mask, face shield, physical distancing, constant washing of the hand, sanitizing, alcohol, constant monitoring of temperature, accommodation must be accredited by the DOT. Triage is a must in the destination. RT-PCR, CPR, antigen test is a requirement. Pre-registration, advance booking is in the apps like Safe Travel, Trace, Bisita, Turlista, at marami pa pong iba to make all transaction paperless. GCash, PayMaya, bank transfer is also encouraged for touchless payments. These are all to ensure not only the safety, not only of the tourist, but of those who are going to receive the tourist. Tayo po yun. So this is the new normal that we need to embrace if we want to recover. So, amidst the pandemic po, last August 6, 2020, lumabas ang Executive Order number 36. An order constituting the Provincial Tourism Development Council for the province of Marinduque. At ano po yung mga basis nito? Okay, ang mga basis po natin ay ang Republic Act 9593, hindi ko na mabasa. Republic Act 7160. Under the Sustainable Tourism Development, bali ito po yung basis ng pag-create ng Tourism Development Council. From the tourism management, subukan natin basahin. Medyo malabo po. The tourism development. So, Tourism Council is instrument for cooperation and coordination of stakeholders. And this is consultation and with the stakeholders. Itong Tourism Council consultation with the stakeholders in policy implementation. So, ito po yung mga duties and functions of the Council. Recommend priority programs, projects, and activities for inclusion in the province annual investment plan and local development investment plan. Provide technical assistance in the preparation of the tourism development plan of the province. Recommend the outsourcing of the preparation of the tourism development plan, facilitate resource generation, and tap assistance for the national government agencies and private sectors for tourism activities. Initiate, coordinate, facilitate the promotion and advocacy on sustainable tourism development, thrust and programs of the province such as ecotourism, farm tourism, green tourism, sport tourism, and adventure tourism na kung titingnan po natin very possible dito sa province natin. Extend assistance in the identification, coordination, and implementation of year-round tourism events and programs to be conducted in and participated by the province. Extend assistance to all tourism-related establishment, be it private, mga community-based tourism natin, farm tourism. Tap tri-media for the promotion and awareness of program activities. Extend assistance and cooperation for the local Cultural and Arts Council for cultural property inventories and cultural awareness, preservations, and programs. Help in monitoring compliance of the requirements of the standards and regulations set by the DOT, LGUs, and other government agencies for the general welfare of tourists, visitors, and community. The Council also coordinates with the LGUs in the preparation, formulation of Tourism Provincial Code and Tourism Development Plan. Initiate and recommend the implementation of programs and activities on tourism coordination with the DOT, LGU, NCCA, PTA, private sectors, and other entities. And now, our mission po, na-formulate na mission ng Tourism Council is to assist in overall tourism development and support the increase of economic benefits that flow from tourism in the province of Marinduque. Our vision, Marinduque will be nationally and internationally recognized as a preferred travel and getaway destination. Magiging dream come true yan. Our objectives for the year 2021, gather tourism-related stakeholders to prepare for tourism in the new normal. And this is, ito na po yun, yung TRICON. And then assist in the creation of policies and guidelines for tourism in the new normal. So kung papayagan po tayong magbukas or mag-open na, ay tutulong po tayo para ma-prepare po natin yung mga guidelines, policies, yung ating po mga private sector, mga destination or attractions natin and sites. Coordinate with and assist tourism-related sectors in preparation for the tourism in the new normal assessment. Usually po, yung pag mag-o-open na yung isang destination, the Department of Tourism, the group from the Department of Tourism is visiting the province po, the destination, tinitingnan nila po yung readiness. So, we will be under evaluation. That is why kailangan po nagsama-sama tayo. So, partake in the review of the Provincial Tourism Development Plan. So, meron na po tayo, magkakaroon na po tayo niyan. Provincial Tourism Development Plan. Our core values, the Marinduque Provincial Tourism Council has made a commitment to live and work with honesty and sincerity. We stand behind our word and honor in every commitment we make. We are consistent in our decisions while recognizing that to be fair, we must be flexible. We are ethical and respectful of others, of ourselves and of others. We live with integrity. We are passionate, especially sa tourism. We communicate effectively. We are a team, a partner, collaborate. We work hard and play hard. We support personal and professional development. We embrace and drive change. We use our resources to the fullest potential. So, magre-report lang po kami ng kung ano na yung naging accomplishment namin. As I have said before, the executive order was signed last August. So, last August po, binigay sa amin yung aming mga kopya. Nag-start na po kami mag-work. And our first activity with it is, we had our initial meeting po at Kusina sa Plaza to discuss po about the executive order. Nagkaroon po kami ng reading of the executive order and what will be the next, yung mga plans po, kung ano yung mga gagawin, paano natin tutulungan yung probinsya, yung private sector, the community, para maging karapat-dapat po kami dun sa ating gagampanang posisyon. And then, we had our courtesy call po, accepting our role po sa province. But after the courtesy call po namin, dito nag-start yung dumami yung cases ng COVID dito sa province that we have to stop a little a while. Ano naman, stop na naman, bawal muna lumabas, may mga ano. So, na-stop din po kami kasi syempre, mahirap ang usapan yung gano'n, tapos lahat pa stop. Hindi po kami makamove until dumating naman po yung next bagyo. Sabi ko, hindi pa yata tayo pinagsisimula. Every time na nagpaplano kami mag-meeting, eto, dadami yung biglang may lalabas na news, ang daming COVID, stop na naman. Tapos sabi ko, siguro this is not yet the right time to start. Tatlong bagyo yung nag-hit sa atin. So, kailangan natin magtulungan pagdating na naman din sa bagyo. So, comes January 2021, nagkaroon na naman po kami ng meeting last January 18. Parang wala na kami narinig. Parang paliit ng paliit. Maybe this is the time. Sige, parang wala nang balakid. So, we had our meeting last January 16 sa Buwak Hotel po. And here we conceptualize yung TRICON. Kailangan na natin magkaroon ng conference with all the agencies concerned to open tourism kung gusto ba natin. Kung gusto ba natin ma-open, kailangan po kasi this time po is, hindi katulad dati, na kanya-kanya tayo. Ngayon, kailangan kawing-kawing tayo. Sama-sama ang LGU, the national agencies, the private sectors, lahat. May connection. The health, PHO, the DOT, may AITF, parang gano'n, marami. So lahat po tayo ay pinagsasama-sama. At kailangan ay sa move na gagawin natin ay isang buhat po kita, hindi pwedeng isa-isa. So, dito sa TRICON, yun po yung part na gusto rin namin marinig from our sa governor natin. So, in preparation po, we go to, we visited our mayors, honorable mayors sa kanya-kanya pong municipality. Upang pag-usapan din po if they are agreeable with the TRICON na pinaplano namin na gawin. So, kinausap po namin sila isa-isa, pinuntahan namin silang isa-isa, makikita ninyo. At napakaganda naman po ng pagtanggap sa amin. Actually, yung iba pong towns, nagkaroon na po sila ng orientation to talk about this para ma-inform in advance yung mga private sector nila or tourism-related establishment nila. So, and also, nagkaroon sila ng orientation and we are invited siguro to help them also to prepare yung mga establishment nila. I believe po, maraming meeting po yan, maraming dinalaw at maraming pag-attend ng mga pati sa committee meeting ay iimbitahan po ang council ngayon, especially regarding tourism. So, this is our courtesy call po sa Santa Cruz with Mayora. Wala si Mayor pero nandun naman po si Ma'am Susan at ang kanyang tourism officer. So we talk about it this was last February 4. Okay. And then, nagpunta rin po kami sa Municipality of Buwak, also in February 4, at nakausap po natin ang ating butihing mayor at ang kanyang tourism officer po at ang SP member, si Bukal Makoy na Committee on Tourism. Last February 17 po, dinalaw po namin si Honorable Mayor Libelo at nakausap po rin namin doon ang kanyang Municipal Tourism Officer, si Sir SP po ng Tourism. Tapos si Mayor po nakausap din namin. At the same day po, dinalaw rin po namin ang Municipality of Buena Vista. Nakausap po namin si Mayor, ganun din po. Nakakausap namin ang kanilang mga Municipal Tourism Officers at ang kanilang sangguniang member. And also, na-visit din po namin si Mayor Rivero ng Gasan. At Mayor Victoria Lim ng Gasan. Pero nakausap po namin ang tourism officer din po niya. So far na narinig namin ang mga hinaing din sa private sector. Ang hinaing ng private sector ay kung hindi tayo magbubukas, ano yung alternative na pwede nila ibigay sa kanila. Kasi ay sa haba ng panahon, ano po, siguro kung 3 months lang yan, 6 months, okay, madali-dali pa eh. Problema, taon na. So, willing naman daw po. Meron po tayong pinasa ng mga Google form at I believe almost everybody here answer yung questionnaire natin. Kinulate po namin yung mga responses at natutuwa kami at maraming nag-response. So, medyo maganda po yung data. Karamihan naman po ang sumagot dun ay willing na sumunod sa protocol do. Willing daw po silang sumunod sa protocol. Siguro strict compliance na lang of the protocol kung sakali. pakiusap ko lang din sa mga private sector or sa ano, talagang susunod tayo. Pag sinabing susunod, susunod. Yun lang siguro. Kasi yung safety is hindi manggagaling sa kanila tayo. Tayo yung mag-iingat sa sarili natin. Kaya naman natin sila hinihigpitan dahil para safe both tourist and the area. Yung tayo dito ay maging safe din. Explain ko lang po kung minsan po kasi sa ibang provinces po, binubuksan na po yung mga tour nila to domestic tour using ito pong bubble tour kung tawagin. Ang bubble tour po is parang ito yung tinatry nila sa every province, yung pong mga nagbukas na nakikita nyo, Baguio, Bohol, Cebu, nagbukas po sila pero it's through bubble tour. Ito pong bubble tour na to, ito yung grupo na kung gusto nila pumunta kunyari sa Marinduque, they have to book in advance. So reserved na po lahat. Kausap yung hotel na accredited lang po ng DOT, doon lang po sila pwedeng mag-accommodate. At makikipag-usap lang po sila sa travel agency na ka-accredited ng DOT. Ang travel agency po ang magbibigay ng itinerary na i-approve nila. Kung ano po yung itinerary na na-approve at napag-usapan, yun lang po ang pupuntahan nila sa province. So wala po silang contact, hindi sila pwedeng magpakalat-kalat kung saan kasi babantayan po sila ni travel operator. Si travel operator po ay with strict compliance kung saan po yung napag-usapan, yun po. Sa mga destination naman po, kung susunod po talaga tayo, may tinatawag po tayong capacity building. So dapat kung ano lang po yung capacity ng area, yun mag-strict compliance din po tayo para hindi nagadikit-dikit. So, sayang lang, hindi po namin maipakita yung video. I don't know lang, can we show the video? May video kasi kami na parang paano ginagawa yung tour under the new normal situation. So, sa bawat, area ng tourism, sa bawat component po, ay may kanya-kanyang rule. May rule ang hotel, merong protocol yan, may protocol ang transportation, may protocol si travel operator, may protocol ang destination, beaches, be it beaches, cave, farm tourism. Lahat po yan, kung bubuksan natin, ay may protocol. So, tapos dadaan pa sila sa bubble tour. So, I think safe naman po. Basta strict compliance lang talaga. So, pagdating naman po sa evaluation, ang tingin ko, sana makapag-prepare din po. Yun din po yung kinausap namin yung sa mga mayor na kung ano po yung destination in your area na ready for tourism, yun lang po muna ang isasama natin sa tourism circuit. So kung yung area po ito ay hindi pa ready, wag muna. Pero pag ready na siya, isama na po ulit. So yun lang po yung mapapasama muna sa tourism circuit. So medyo strict compliance lang, tapos susunod lang tayo lahat. Tapos sama-sama tayo, pare-pareho tayo. Sa tingin ko naman po ay makakaraos tayo. So, yun po muna ang aking presentation.
Thank you very much po, Ma'am Susan Narase, the President of the Marinduque Tourism and Development Council. So as you've heard, they have prepared a lot and there are some struggles at may mga naputol nga din pong mga plano because of the typhoon and also because of the pandemic. And Ma'am Susan is right, we have so many things to prepare and it also called us for planning. Ano po, kung usually hindi tayo nagpaplano, now even the hotel, even the establishments has to set their own plan in accommodating the guests. We have protocols to follow and in addition, we also like to acknowledge those LGUs who are initiating to be oriented on the tourism of the new normal and being open-minded. Ano po, and of course, the private sectors from the 70 questionnaires po na sinand namin, we received 59 replies and that shows the intense interest of the stakeholders. So nandun po yung ating LGUs, we also have the private sectors there and the community. So it shows the intense interest to reopen. And we can see a hope from there. Ano po? So thank you very much again, Ma'am Susan, for your warm welcome. And now, to introduce our guest speaker, our first speaker, we have Mr. Romeo Mataab from MNN.
Of course, our first speaker don't need further introduction because his credentials and work speak for himself. Help me welcome our Provincial Tourism Officer, Mr. Gerardo Caballes. Gerardo Ahamilya. I'm sorry, thank you. Excited na ako kay Doc Jerry.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Unang-una po, nagpapasalamat ang Office of the Governor and the Provincial Tourism Office kay Dr. Jerry Caballes at kay Dr. Rachel Rowena Garcia na napakahalaga po ng inyong ibabahagi sa amin o sa buong komunidad ng tourism industry in preparation po sa tinatawag natin possible opening ng Marinduque for domestic tourism.
Medyo may challenge. Okay. There you have it.
Better okay if you don't do it. For quite some time, Marinduque was gaining its ground in the tourism industry, especially po nitong pasok ng late 2019 to 2020. The arrivals ng ating tourism is getting better. We are being assisted by the DOT in promoting the province. Our centennial celebration was a good program, vehicle for promotion. However, the pandemic made something different that caused the downfall of the tourism industry in the whole world, not only in the Philippines or in Marinduque. And after a year, there had been programs coming from the department and other local government units to open again their respective destinations for unang-una tinatawag ko pong tatlo yung types ng tourists. Locals, which we consider yung local from Marinduque. Domestic are Filipinos, and of course the foreign nationals. With our experience during the pandemic, when we were declared under Mdcq, people tend to travel within the province despite there are no strict restrictions with regards to destinations, especially outdoor destinations. And that's why nung makita namin siya, there should be a program, health protocol should be in place in order to avoid transmission or local transmissions in the respective areas. I will present to you part of the tourism situationer of the province. Next slide, please. according to some tourism consultants and visitors who have come and visit our province, Marinduque is a mixed culture, mixed-use destination for pilgrimage, culture, arts and music, cuisine, ecotourism, sports and adventure, shopping, and recreation. They appreciate much that Marinduque are hospitable. Most can speak fluent English. We have about 400 plus rooms and and more rooms coming. Napansin ninyo, however na pandemic, there are still investors coming in for additional accommodation facilities in the province. These are in different classifications and configurations from hotels, resorts, inns, and lodging houses. And ngayon, yung bago nagsasurveys, yung mga bed and breakfast na kailangan din i-regulate, including homestay. We have 15 natural attractions, namely caves, falls, mountains, underwater gardens, mangroves, forests, butterflies, islets, and rock formation. There are about 20 man-made attractions such as churches, historical sites, ancestral houses, souvenir and handicraft shops, resort facilities, farm, tourism sites, local festivals, religious and historical celebrations. Marinduque is now dubbed as the heart of the Philippines, being the Lenten capital of the region, the geodetic center of the country, and the most peaceful province, and the butterfly capital of the nation. Challenges ng Marinduque within the pandemic. The threat of the COVID pandemic that resulted in the restricted free movement of people and visitors. The availability of approved or low-cost vaccine is very important. The fear of the locals, Marinduqueños, with regards to visitor who might transmit the infection. Of course, yung complex and difficult monitoring, tracing process on the localized transmission. The state of our medical facilities, equipments, and lack of or kakulangan ng medical practitioners. The high cost of the RT-PCR or swab test for visitors planning to visit the province. Pero ito ang mga current initiatives ng province with regards to tourism development. We have received a sort of grant from the Tourism Promotion Board for the development and implementation of Marinduque Tourism website, travel apps, and tourism video. Our tourism master plan, development plan, is in the final stage presentation for stakeholders and the approval of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. We have also some prioritization of tourism infrastructure with regards to roads. Of course, itong was part of the initiative, yung activation ng Marinduque Tourism Development Council. The capacitation of local tourism stakeholders is, of course, considered, including the plight of the tourism officers. The strict compliance on all environmental laws required for tourism sites and establishments. May action plan din po tayong hinahanda. Prepare every tourism establishments, manpower, management, infrastructure in the proposed reopening of Marinduque to general tourism in consonance with the new normal. Yung meron din po tayong draft na ng Marinduque Tourism Code. Nasa committee level po ito ng Sanggunian. This is incorporated also po kasama yung sa Tourism Development Plan. Isa pa po sa action plan is of course while we are in the pandemic, we need trainings to capacitate our tourism stakeholders, which include the institute a culture of tourism, honesty, courtesy, fair pricing, quality standards, and tourist-friendly services. The training for Marinduque stakeholders in the economic development of the province that will ensure great profitability for Marinduqueño, his family, and his community. Development of fast, friendly, flexible, and forward-looking tourism personnel and manpower. Next is making tourism the viable vehicle for jobs, opportunities, entrepreneurship, and a better image for the province. Making sure local communities are the ultimate beneficiary of the tourism industry. Ika nga nung una sabihin ni President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, pag maraming responsableng turista, masusunod ang pakay ng ating gobyerno. May trabaho, may edukasyon, may tahanan, at may pagkain sa bawat mesa. Other key activities that the government is doing or initiating is, of course, instituting new work ethics for both government and private sector, regular cleanup, maintenance of roads leading to from major tourist areas. Kasama rin po ang pag-oorganisa ng transport and accommodation sector to make them responsible and accountable. Local government should be responsible also for the needs of the community in access, security, cleanliness, including signages to make it more tourist-friendly. Communities, kasama po ang NGOs, schools, and civil society should be able to work with the LGU and help in the inventory of attractions, services, cultural attractions, calendar of events such as festivals, fiestas, etc., and collection of tourism statistics. Ito po kasi yung kasama dun sa tinatawag nating cultural mapping, wherein yung mismo mga taga-barangay natin, kailangan pong suyurin nila ang kanilang lugar para malaman nila kung anong meron sila. At ito ay may dokumento at maging basihan ng development plan in terms of tourism and other infrastructure para sa kanilang mga lugar. Regular coordination with the Department of Tourism, DNR, NEDA, and other national government agencies, LGUs, and NGOs. Though wala pa pong mga major fairs, pinaghahandaan po natin ng mga national, regional, and travel fairs po. Kahit po ngayong pandemic, may mga tumatawag po sa amin in terms of promotion for magazines, TV shows, and interviews, and including social media. So, ibig sabihin po, kahit tayo nasa ganitong estado, patuloy pong naghahanap ang ating market ng safer place to visit. That's why kailangan hindi po tayo tumigil at kailangan nating maghanda dito sa new normal. Negotiations with other transport companies are being initiated in order to improve our access and transport sa Marinduque. Kasama po itong construction of a multi-purpose sports, cultural, and convention facility which is good for MICE, meeting, incentives, convention, and exhibitions. Wala pa po tayong kasing tinatawag na kung hindi man state of the art ay at least a modest convention center of the province. Infrastructure development of roads, bridges, and other public restroom and parks. Legislations to strengthen local festivals, historical claims, sites, events, and other tourist-related programs and activities. implementation of international tourism standards in the classification of different tourism-related establishments, services, and facilities. Ito po yung part ng DOT accreditation process, wherein primary tourism establishments, which means all tourism or all accommodation establishments, should secure accreditation from the Department of Tourism, Certificate of Authority to Operate, in order for them to open their facility and receive tourists. Ito po ay part sana ng adoption of the provisions of the Tourism Act of 2009 or the Republic Act 9593. Ito po yung ilang proposed tourism infrastructure projects for 2021. The widening of the circumferential road and completing of network loops of the Maniwaya Island. Siguro po bakit ninyo specific ang Maniwaya. Maniwaya has great potential in terms of tourism. However, kailangang pangalagaan po siya, lagyan ng sariling tourism development plan in order na ito'y ma-preserve at hindi siya mangyari sa ibang destinations wherein in a short span of time ay iiwanan na siya dahil sira na bilang tourist destination. Polluted, maraming problema, at nahihirapan na i-resolve. Kaya ito'y included po sa Tourism Development Plan. Number 2 is the establishment of the Heritage District or section sa Buwak Poblasyon. Ito po ay nasa pipeline na. The construction of Tourism Assistance Center and Nature Development of Mount Marinduque. Nahirapan lang pong kumuha ng lote sa area ng Buena Vista. Ito po rin partly implemented the development of Polo Island Resort. Ito po ay nasa isang protected area. Ito po ay the nearest island na may white sand beach. Yun po. The outdoor solar powered lighting of the Buwak Cathedral. Ito po ay naipangako ni Governor noong i-declare na important cultural property ang ating Buwak Cathedral. The improvement and completion of the Luzon Dato Multipurpose Building and Slope Protection. Magkakamera po doon. Nasimula na po yung part 1, pero tatapusin po ngayon. The renovation of the Battle of Pulanlupang Monument. Ayusin po siya. Na lalagyan po ng granite para mas maging formal at presentable siya. The construction of a Malbog Spring Onsen Building para maging may part po siya na magiging parang spa, Japanese ang design ay galing parang sa Japan. The extension and improvement of Maniwaya Island Pier. Ito po kasi yung part ng proposal na ang entry sa Maniwaya ay single port entry para masala lahat ng papasok. Horseback riding trail at the Marinduque Wildlife Sanctuary. Yun po. Next spring. Dito po mapapansin ninyo yung arrival report sa accommodation. From 2009 to 2015, ang pagkuha po ng accommodation is based on reports coming from accommodation, mga places na binisita, at saka yung ano po ay sa airport at saka sa port. However, in 2016, the collection of tourist arrivals as per DOT Memorandum Circular was strictly implemented through the accommodation facilities. Kaya bumaba po siya. From 2015 is nasa 82,000, bumagsak po siya ng 33,000. However, mapapansin po niyo, ito po yung sa accommodation pa po is hindi 100% ng ating mga accommodation facilities is nagsasubmit ng report ng kanilang nag-check-in sa kanilang mga establishment. Pero still, nag-pick up pa rin siya ng up to 55,000, 43,000, and 61,000. Noong 2019, we have 61,505 guests or tourists who came into the province na sa accommodation na nag-report. Imagine kung 50% lang ang nag-report. So, malaki pa rin talaga. And this 2020, despite of the pandemic, nakaano pa rin tayo ng about 7,000 guests. That's why may demand pa rin talagang pumunta sa Marinduque. Though, napansin namin, during the pandemic, most of these are poor who went to Marinduque for outreach program at kaunting leisure. Next, please. Ito po yung mga ipinupunta sa atin dito sa Marinduque. Because of the pandemic, ang dirt bike riding was buhay uli. Mountain biking, ngayon po, simula po 2 weeks ago, meron na po mga grupo ng bikers from other provinces. Open na ba kayo? Pwede na ba kami bumisita? Marami na po nagtatanong. Yung po mga spelunkers coming from the different provinces, nag-aano sila, gusto nila ma-experience ang caving sa Marinduque. Nag-assessment din po ang Philippine Commission for Sports Scuba Diving dito sa province, particularly sa Gasan, Buena Vista, and Torrijos. And nag-thumbs up po sila. We have great potential for scuba diving. Kaya hinahanda din po natin ang probinsya dito once we open. At may mga guidelines naman po when it comes to protocol. Ang rock wall rappelling, though ito ay very specific na interest in sports. Ziplining, meron pa pong zipline sa Adventure Park sa Freedom. Ito po yung mga type ng guests natin when it comes to foreigner na mga pumupunta rito. Pamilya sila on bike. In fact, nagtutur po sila sa Pilipinas. And pag dito, normally, 2 days, 3 days, 2 nights po sila dito. Mountaineering, marami rin pong na-develop o ibig sabihin, nagiging interesting ang mountaineering dito sa Marinduque. Ito po, grupo po ng mga off-roaders. Palibasa po, yung may taga Santa Cruz po tayo na presidente ng isang off-roading group. Nakakainggan niya sila from the different off-roading groups in the Philippines to come over sa Marinduque. Pagkatapos po nung 2020 Jeep Club Philippines Jamboree na ginawa dito na about 60 plus rigs o ibig sabihin 60 na sasakyan ang pumunta dito for their annual jamboree. Kasama po sa kanilang jamboree is ang outreach program. Pupunta po sila sa mga rural communities to provide some help in terms of school supplies and other materials needed by the community. Ito rin po, usong-uso ngayon, palibasa ng pandemic, camping, outdoor camping. Ito pong isang nasa taas, ito sa, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, sa Bangwayin. Ito namang isang nasa baba ay sa Makulapit, sa Makulapit sa Santa Cruz, sa yung man-made dam. Ito po yung proposed Marinduque Tourism Clusters. Yung Cluster 1 po is ang area ng Santa Cruz, including the 3 islands of Santa Cruz. This is, yung ang program po ng development is leisure and adventure. Yung Cluster 2 po ng Torrijos and Buenavista is health and wellness. Yung Cluster 3, Buwak, Mugbog, and Gasan is heritage and cultural ang kanyang tema. And the fourth cluster, yung Marinduque Wildlife Sanctuary Area, is of course wildlife and nature. Yan po yung mga nakapropose doon. At yan po yung mga pagbabasihan ng development plan from each municipality. Ito po yung mga list o calendar of activities na ginagawa natin. However, may mga ilan ditong nabago na po. Of course, our festivals. Masaya siya, maraming pumupunta, pero for now, because of the pandemic, ay postpone muna till further meron na tayong vaccine, and we will be advised by the National IIDF that we can conduct festivals na. Of course, our Moriones, Gasang-Gasang, Tuba, Kalisan, these are all crowd drawers, kaya hindi pa po natin pwedeng gawin itong mga ito. Seafood ng Santa Cruz, Kangga ng Mugpog, Kalutan, Bila-Bila, Nyuga ng Torrijos, Santo Niño, Ati-Atihan ng Santa Cruz din, Maalindog ng Buenavista, and of course, our regular mga destination. Buwa Cathedral, though may guard sila, may sinusunod namang protocol to register. Ang lang i-enhance natin na strictly following the health and safety protocol. Sa Babumbungan, right now kailangan ng impra siya para makapasok dahil may diferensya yung first chamber. Sa Maniwaya, palagi na may mention, kailangan ayusin lahat yung safety. Wala pa pong accredited establishment sa Maniwaya. And for the information of everyone, nung wala pa tayong pandemic, at certain weekends or most of the weekends, ang guest ng Maniwaya ay coming from the mainland via Quezon at umaabot siya ng 1,000 sa mga weekends. Kaya napaka-critical nitong area nito. Ang ating Bella Roca sarado pa po. Of course, the St. Joseph ng Gasan. Ito po yung mga ating outdoor attractions, mga Malindig, yung mangrove area ng Santa Cruz, Tabala na Canco area, Hinulugan sa Sabong, Baya, Sibuyaw, itong Mount Malindig. Siguro po na pakinggan o nakita ninyo sa social media yung nangyaring mga plantitas, nasa DNR na po ang kanilang case. Ang Mumpong, marami rin po pupunta. Ito pong Hupi, wetlands o birding area, ito po yung mga palaisdaan sa area sa Santa Cruz. Dito po pupunta yung mga mahilig po sa ibon, mag-document ng mga klase ng ibon dito sa Marinduque. Ito pong Balagbag Mountain Range natin, ito yung section o parcel 2 ng ating Marinduque Wildlife Sanctuary. Maganda rin po ang wildlife dito at favorite camping grounds din po ito. Palo Maria, Maniwaya pa rin. Bumpong Rock Formation, and of course yun yung banderang destination ng Bumpong. Trekking po sa Wildlife Sanctuary sa Parcel 1 sa Tumagabog area at saka dito po sa Balagbag. Yung Buwak Ancestral Houses natin, kung kailangan nating makonvince pa yung other owners to open up para maging attractive. Isa pong binibigyang halaga ngayon is ito pong Gaspar Island. Hindi po yung lighthouse mismo, kundi yung guardhouse. Yung guardhouse po is ginawa po during the American period, nagde-deteriorate, pero ang ganda po ng architecture niya. Kaya sayang. Ito pong sana meron din ang programa for cultural and heritage preservation itong baluarte sa Laylay. Of course po, alam niyo, Palad Sandbar, ito pong sa iyo, sayang itong lugar na ito. Marami rin pupunta rito at saka ito yung favorite diving site, itong lugar ng iyo. Belaroca, Hobbycat, sunset sa Marinduque, of course, very nice, especially during summer. Yung Marinduque Wildlife Sanctuary sa Parcel 1 ng Tumagabo. Of course, yung Puktoy White Beach, sunset. Ang Luzon Datong po sa bayan ng Bugbog, very famous ngayon. These photos were taken noong 2009, wala pa po siya ng development. And ginawan po siya ng development dahil magsisintinyan yung Luzon Datong noon, 2011. Ito po siya. Favorite na pasyalan, adventure area, ito talaga, especially mga bikers. Ito po yung part ng Marinduque Wildlife Sanctuary. Ang management po niya is under the PAMB, Management Board ng Protected Area. Ito po yung mga buildings niya. Yung isa is yung sa visitor center, may counting accommodation, and the other one is the superintendent's office. Maganda rin po ang bird watching dito. May mga pools and pool doon sa area. May observation tower. At ito po naman yung parcel 2, yun sa Malimbago City area sa Balagbag. Ito rin po yung pinupuntahan ng ating mga bisita. Doon naapektuhan po sila ng course pandemic and the bagyo. Ito po yung kay Juninoy na farm sa Tansa. Inaayos na raw po ni Juninoy para mabuksan ulit at may makapagbenta rin ng mga agricultural produce. Ito naman po yung sa DMDC kay Doming de la Cruz, dyan po sa Barangay Puras. Farm school din. Ito po yung mga farm school. Tumatanggap po sila ng mga nag-ANC2 sa organic farming and other courses na may NC2. Ito naman po is Park Doming at ito po naman yung sa Agrea dyan sa Kawit. Ito po yung mga ibon na nakikita rito. Maganda pong market ang tinatawag namin birding dahil po karamihan dito ay mga basuka ang dala na camera, mayayaman. Wala pong GP5 na birder magkukuha ng ibon na kaya good market sa industry. Marami pong ibon na meron dito sa Marinduque na bira natin makita dahil malayo. Pero pag ito po'y hinupaan ni Hoben para makuha. Napakahirap pong kumuha ng ganitong kalapit na kailangan po mga 600 plus millimeter na lens with wide opening para makunan po sila. Ayan po. Ito po yung nakapangalan Esperata Nectarina Marinduquensis. Dito po sa nakapangalan sa Marinduque. Yun po. Pero po bago ako gusto ko rin pong banggitin when sa ating sitwasyon ngayon, of course po napaka-importante po ng plight ng ating mga tourism officers, especially in the municipalities. Sila po lahat ay designate, may main task sila, either information officer, community affairs officer, and other positions. And most of them are handling pinaka-minimal ay 3 parang office. Kasama pa sila ngayon sa, ang tawag dito? Pag-handle ng mga LSI, APOR, sila pa rin. And even yung mga palabas na sila pa rin ang nag-handle ng processing ng mga papers. Katulong sila. And they are part of the DRRM office din in terms of function. Kaya sila ay nag-iisa, 3 opisina hawak, tapos marami pang function. Also, the Department of Tourism, in coordination with the DOH, IATF, and other national agencies, have promulgated health and safety protocols for hotels and other accommodation and other tourist destinations. And this is just in following and implementing all the regulations. DOT accreditation is a must for all primary tourism establishment, especially accommodations. In order na, unang-una, ang purpose ng accreditation right now is to comply with the DOH, DOT formulated programs and infrastructure na they should install and provide within their respective establishment. Definitely, though ang ginagawa nila ngayon is Zoom ang inspection, but this year they will be conducting talagang actual inspection. Before, last year, you will be provided a list of which to comply, and then they will virtually inspect lahat ng nasa checklist. May mamiss ka lang isa, sorry, mag-apply ka ulit for inspection, hindi mo na i-provide yan. That's why right now, we have 14 establishments, 2 from Torrijos, 1 in Bukbok, 1 in Gasan, and the rest is in Buwak. Yan po. Santa Cruz and Buena Vista, wala pang accredited tourism accommodation establishments. Yung epekto po ng pandemya is of course lahat. However, specifically for tourism, ang ating pong industriya, lalo na ang nasa accommodation who have invested that much, is talagang badly affected by the pandemic. And nung nga po minsan kayo mag-usap ni Go, sabi niya, yari ilang bang arrivals natin? Sabi ko po, nung pang mga peak based on the accommodation is about 60 plus. And sabihin natin they're spending between 2,000 to 3,000 pesos a day. Ang malaking pera rin pala pinapasok sa Marinduque ng yan po yung tag dito. Yun lang yung nag-submit ng data. So kung i-consider mo ng plus another, kung 50 or 1/3 of it, talagang malaking pera ang pinapasok ng industriya. Kaya po yung cooperation, of course, from all national government agencies, the private sector, and the people's organization will be vital towards cooperation and understanding on how we can propagate, design, agree on how Marinduque should go in terms of tourism in the new normal. In order to protect our private sector in terms of their investment, and of course, help the general populace to revive our economy. So, for that, maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry Hamilia, for that informative information and details about the plans and programs of our provincial government through the Provincial Tourism Office. Nakakatuwa po na makita yung mga presentation at saka yung mga video, yung mga images na present ni Mr. Hamilya kung saan ay parang binabalik po tayo sa panahon na ang panahon ay hindi pa po nasa ilalim ng pandemya. Parang nakita ko nga po isa sa mga post ni Ate Gian Magdalita sa kanyang Facebook post na parang miss na niyang mag-travel. And hopefully, through this conference ay magkaroon po tayo ng, o makabuo po tayo ng mga estratehiya at malaman po natin kung talaga bang handa na ang ating pong lalawigan pagdating sa bagong normal at pagdating naman po sa pasok ng mga turista o pagbukas ng turismo dito po sa ating lalawigan. And for our next speaker, of course, with me is Miss Karen to introduce our speaker for this morning.
Thank you very much, Sir Myong, and I also agree with your notes and message based on the presentation of our Provincial Tourism Officer. So now our next speaker is a very humble one. And yesterday, when we tried to call her, she requested that she will be introduced less. No, so she was hailed from Barangay Ulong, Marinduque, which is also one of our tourism destinations. She served the Department of Health in NCR for 8 years, and now she is serving our province. And we would like to invite our speaker for today, none other than Dr. Rowena Rachel Garcia.
Salamat po, Miss Karen. Let me correct. Yung aking stay sa Marinduque as the Provincial DOH Officer is 8 years. Pero ako po ay nag-serve as Municipal Health Officer ng Mdcq for 4 years. Ilang taon nang nakakaraan? Huwag na natin tanongin anong taon. And after that, nag-DOH NCR po ako for ilang panahon, and then Marinduque po yung present office ko ngayon. So, let me present. Ako po. Saan naman galing yung picture ko? Okay, next po. Next, please. The situationer for the province of Marinduque will be given by, in terms of the COVID situation in the province, will be delivered by Dr. Jerry Caballes, so we'll skip that. Next, please. I'll be presenting what the DOH Marinduque Extension Office has given the province, and we'll go by ito po yung paulit-ulit na strategies na ginagawa namin for the last year para ma-achieve natin yung, let me say, hindi naman po COVID-free. Siguro COVID-safe para sa province. Siguro ikaw na yung COVID-safe for the province. Yung 5 strategies na yan: prevention, detection, isolate, treatment, reintegration. So, cycle po yan. Paulit-ulit, no? Wala siyang setting. Dapat lahat ng setting, iisipin natin how will we implement that strategy from opisina to a hotel, to a bed and breakfast, sa restaurant, sa office, especially sa office nowadays, sa palengke, no? Markets, sa grocery. Dapat yung polisiyan natin para ma-achieve natin yung COVID-safe province, I am advocating gamitin po natin yung 5 strategies na. Okay, next. So, in the DOH Extension Office has provided PPEs, no, sa ating mga health workers, sa ating mga health centers or rural health units, sa ating mga isolation facilities and hospitals. When we say prevention, no? In terms of the tourism industry, ano yung minimum PPEs? Ano yung nakikita natin ngayon? Ano yung pwede pa nating irregular meron kita na pagpasok pa lang? Ano yung ginamit? May temperature, merong alcohol, kung pwede nga, sana may mat sa entrance, food bag, and then yung contact tracing strategy. And then we have augmented IAC materials in our hospitals and
Ay, nasa Marinduque tayo. Okay, so again, yung sa prevention, we can say, kailangan yung regular orientation on infection prevention and control protocols para sa ating mga empleyado. Kailangan narinig ko ako. Let me say, hindi po natatapos yung ating prevention sa isang upuan na mag-orient tayo sa ating mga employees. Dapat regular po yun. Sabi ko nga ito, yung monitoring ng mga establishments natin, kung ini-implement o ginagawa yung ating prevention and control, dapat paulit-ulit yan. Dapat nire-remind ang ating mga empleyado sa ating protocol. Minimum self-standard. Kasunod po yung detection. So, ina-apply ko na kasi sa tourism industry yung ating detection. For the DOH, we have given all the testing kits to our local government units. So lahat po ng test na ginagawa using the swab test, meron pong kits na ginagamit, lahat ito ay provided by DOH. And the specimen are transported by the DOH. We have also conducted technical assistance through organizing the contact tracing teams of the LGUs in cooperation with the DILG. Kasi nasa DILG po ang contact tracing natin. So, importante po sa detection, yung ating ginagawa na paulit-ulit, pagtulad ng pangalan ng test, pagkuha ng kanilang edad, pagkuha ng kanilang address, pagkuha ng tamang contact number. Minsan doon po nagkakaproblema kasi hindi binibigay yung tamang contact number. Remember, yung nagkaroon tayo ng bagong UK variant, hindi makatrace kasi yung contact number hindi tamang binibigay. So, importante po maging honest yung guests natin to give the correct information, especially contact number. Critical po yan for contact tracing. Then for the isolation, we have given technical assistance to LGUs in establishing and certifying our temporary treatment and monitoring facilities, or we call it TTMF. Ngayon po ay ligtas COVID facility. So for Benavista, meron po silang dalawang TTMF, ito ay DOH certified. Ang Gasan po ay may 4, ang Rupog ay 1, ang Santa Cruz ay 1, na DOH certified, and Tulilos is 1. And the DOH has allocated 10 million for the construction of a TTMF located at the provincial
Marinduque Provincial Hospital Compound. So, meron na pong 10M na naka-download po sa province para makakonstruct tayo ng TTMF. But still, I don't know, like WAC, nagko-consider sila ng mga establishments ng kanilang TTMF. So, hindi ko lang alam po kung ano na nangyari doon. We need a temporary treatment facility or the latest COVID facility para sa ating quarantine facilities and isolation or for monitoring our case, especially with the new variant. Yes, na new variant. And for the treatment, they have deployed additional manpower to the Marinduque Provincial Hospital. Isang medical officer, 3 medical technologists, 7 nurses, 3 nursing assistants, and 1 mechanical ventilator technician. We have provided the salaries of this human resource for health para magamit nila or magamit yung funds to hire these health workers to manage the COVID ward of the MPH or the Marinduque Provincial Hospital. We have deployed 5 doctors to the barrio, 4 medical technologists, 2 dentists, 42 nurses, 21 midwives under the DOH HRH deployment program in the municipalities. And they act as human resource for the TTMFs of the local government units. We have also provided technical assistance in the referral of moderate to severe cases to higher facilities outside the province. Recently, our 6 municipalities were recipients of 1 new ambulance, courtesy through the initiative of Congressman Lord Alan J. Velasco for their use. And then for the reintegrate, again, we have recovered patients, COVID positive patients, and they have to be reintegrated in the community. Sometimes kasi po, pagka na-chismis, COVID yan, nag-COVID yan, ayaw na silang parang outcast na, buong bahay, outcast sila. But then, we have conducted counseling to our COVID recovered patients kasi po nade-depress po yung iba. Kasi parang na-ostracize sila ng community. Importante rin po yun for reintegration. And then, for yung day-to-day, bagay, mas alam na nila dahil naranasan nila ng mga COVID, we still have to live through minimum health standards. Hindi lang po sa kanila, sa atin din po lahat. And for the ways forward, for the vaccine deployment and immunization program, yan po ang, ngayon, talk of the town. Dadating ba o hindi? Ano ba ang brand na dadating? So yun po. Ano po, Sinovac ba? O ano ba? Sino ba? Sinovac. Again. Pero before the vaccine arrives, we have to be ready to use the vaccine. Hindi po kasi pangkaraniwan yung vaccine. Bago siya. No? Hindi yung katulad ng regional na ating vaccination sa program na ilang taon nang ginagamit. So, this is a new vaccine for all of us. Buong mundo, bago po yung vaccine. And the DOH have given the technical assistance through our PHO and the munisipyo, through parati po kaming virtual orientation and training. We need to do master listing of our eligible population. We need to establish, or ito po ongoing sa community. Meron ba mga senior dito na nalista na? Meron na ma'am? Nalista? No? So the communities are being, the rural health units are doing the master listing of eligible population.
our Provincial Health Office established the tinatawag po naming Local Vaccine Operations Center. From the PHO to the municipio to the barangay, we have the LVOC or the Local Vaccine Operations Center. The PHO and the municipio have done their micro-planning. Kailangan pa i-mapping ang ating mga vaccine sites or vaccination sites. We need to do capacity building and training, retraining, kasi po nga dapat seamless ang gagawin natin sa ating implementation ng vaccination. Seamless. From the preparation of the community during the vaccination and after the vaccination. Kasi meron tayong gagawing monitoring sa mga babakunahan for at least a year. And then, again, we need to prepare for provision of adverse event following immunization or adverse event of special interest surveillance system. Maraming kinakabahan. Ayoko. Masakit yan. Ano ba yan? Baka mamatay. No? So we need to prepare the community for the vaccination. Marami po ngayon sa province naririnig, but we need to do deeper communication plan. So sa tourism industry, baka pwede kaming tulungan as partners, our establishments as partners to do the information dissemination among our target clients. May prioritization, pero ang target po ay 70% of the population must be vaccinated to get the herd immunity. So meron lang mauna, may prioritization, but in the end, hanggang 2023, we need to vaccinate 70% of the population to get the herd immunity. At doon pa lang natin makikita yung labor to overcome the pandemic from the start. Malayo pa ang finish. But we need to do all of this to say we are COVID safe. For the tourism-related facilities and policies and guidelines, kanina po, paulit-ulit din na nasabi ni Ma'am Susan, ni Sir Jerry, yung mga policies na binaba from the DOT, no? So, i-reiterate ko lang po, merong omnibus guidelines on the implementation of community quarantine in the Philippines from ECQ, GCQ, Mdcq, etc. Andun po yung omnibus, and meron particular for the tourism industry. Again, paulit-ulit doon sa polisiya, kailangan accredited ng DOT para makapag-open ang isang establishment para sa tourism industry. For hotel, meron pong minimum requirements by settings yung hotels and other accommodations. Again, parating pinilalagay doon PPE, yung ating from entrance, etc. Pagpasok, hanggang room, hanggang ano pang mga labasan, sa labas ng mga facility, hanggang mag-uwi ang ating mga bisita. Yun na lang pong pinakabago, no? Meron po kasing binigay na bagong latest is yung IATF resolution dated January 15. And meron January yung latest po natin ay January 21. series of 2021, resolution number 95, particular dun sa UK variant. Ang nakalagay po doon ay our guests coming outside, no? If ever kung saan mang country siya galing, Filipino man or diplomat o foreigners, meron po silang particular na specific na they need to comply, no? Beginning Feb 21, Section 5, Guidelines under Mdcq, meron nakalagay dito, any person below 10 and above 65 with, and those with immunodeficiency, comorbidity, or other health risks, pregnant women shall be required to remain in their residences at all times. For entry to for all foreign travelers coming from or with travel history within the last 14 days prior to arrival in the Philippines, in countries or jurisdiction covered by the travel restrictions for the COVID-19 variants, shall not be permitted entry into the Philippines until January 31, notwithstanding any previous IATF resolution or exemptions. But Filipinos coming from or where travel restrictions for COVID-19 variants are in place or have been to the same within 14 days immediately preceding arrival shall be subjected to prescribed testing and quarantine protocols. Ano po yung quarantine protocols? Dapat po pagdating nila sa quarantine facility accommodation, and on the 6th day dapat mag-RT-PCR sila, and then iintayin yung results bago sila pakawalan. So if ever merong kita na magbubook sa ating mga establishments, we need to review kung mag-a-apply yung bagong IATF resolution, particularly resolution number 95 dated, series of 2021 dated January 21, 2021, series of 2021. So yun lang po yung pinakahuli na ibinigay po ng IATF sa atin, in particular dahil dun po sa UK variant. And ang latest, meron tayong, pero pinag-aaralan pa rin po, kung meron tayong Philippine variant. Pero hindi pa po yun, labeled as Philippine variant kasi pinag-aaralan pa lang po. Huwag naman po sanang makarating dito sa atin yan. Again, minimum health standards, mask, face shield, hugas kamay, correct information, and proper physical distancing. Dati 1 meter, ngayon nga po sabi 2 meters na. Ano ba, isang basketball court na ba ang kasunod? Although, natatawa tayo ngayon. Kasi ang province relatively safe. Kasi ilan lang naman ang kaso natin. May I say, 5 po ang active cases natin ngayon. May 28 pending case results pa tayo, paantingin. Pero po, kung hindi tayo mag-work together, pwede pa ulit tumaas siya. Swerte pa tayo kasi napapalo yung restricted na pagpasok. But then, kaya tumaas yung cases natin recently is because of community transmission. And nakita mo yung community transmission ay household transmission sa bahay. Kasi hindi tayo nag-follow nung quarantine protocol. Or sa office. Isang opisina nagkaroon ng transmission, tapos nadala niya sa kanyang bahay. Kung titignan natin, if nung bago pa lang siya nung last year kay China galing, kung nasunod ang quarantine protocol, hindi dapat dumami yung kaso at naging pandemya siya. Health systems on surveillance have been placed, kaya lang kung yung sistema ay hindi ma-apply o ma-implement ng tama, bali wala po. And andyan na si pandemya. To end the pandemic, at least, let's do our part. Miski sa office, hindi kami nag-aalis ng mask, except for kakain. Lahat din ng protocols, ginagawa namin. Kaya lang sabi ko pa rin sa mga kasamahan ko, ginagawa niyo ba yan sa bahay niyo? Kasi, yes, ginagawa namin sa opisina, kung hindi mo lang gagawin sa bahay niyo, wala din. In your case, mas marami kayong nakikitang iba, no? Mga guests. So, protection para sa atin at sa ating pamilya, minimum health standards. Until we have the vaccine and we accomplish the herd immunity and then surveillance, saka pa natin masasabing magiging COVID safe tayo. Yung system po ay hindi lang applicable dahil sa COVID-19, but sa lahat po ng sakit na pwede natin. Either kahit measles man, tigdas, na napakatanda na ng tigdas. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa natin matapos tigdas, pero meron namang safe na prevention, vaccination, hindi pa rin natin na-achieve. Kasi yung iba, hindi pa rin naniniwala sa bakuna. Naalis natin ang smallpox dahil sa bakuna. Na-eliminate natin ang polio dahil sa bakuna. And then, may nagre-appear, nagre-resurge. Pero nababantayan dahil sa surveillance. Kaya napaka-importante po ang surveillance. Hindi lang dahil sa health, o hindi lang sa health, pati sa ating mga establishmento. So, yun lang po. And if you have any more questions, any questions, thank you. Good morning.
So now, to address a question for Dr. Garcia, we have Ma'am Carmelita Reyes, the treasurer of the Marinduque Tourism Development Council.
Thank you po, Doktora, sa informasyon kasi itong aming sa mga establishment, nagpa-follow dun sa mga protocols na binibigay ng health. Kaya lang po ay hindi maiwasan yung matitigas ang ulo. At ito pong policy na in-share niyo sa amin, yung strategies na 5 ay isi-share namin sa buong Marinduque para ma-protectionan ang bawat isa. Tama yung sabi ni Ma'am, yung honesty, ay ang dami pong bulaan. Kaya ang namin, hindi na naman namin kuha na namin yung ID. Tapos, yung cellphone number, hindi naman nabigay ng maayos. Pero hindi naman po lahat. Meron lang na
Bulaan.
Ilang bulaan?
At ikalawa po, yung in case po na mabuksan, meron po kaya tayong place na pwedeng paglagyan ng mga guests na yung mga from other probinsya na isolation place para sa kanila o ipabalik na lang natin. Kasi po yung sa readiness ng sa tourism, kailangan po ay kita yung nakahanda din. Kasi exclusive para sa mga turista. Yung po ay siguro i-alay natin na doon sa ating mga pero yung pong protocols talagang pinafollow lang, lalo na sa buwak na talagang ina-monitor po halos linggo-linggo natin na kung nagapalo po. Ganda po ang po ng buwak at talagang nanguhuli ng mga establishment. Yun po inapasalamat namin dahil hindi lahat ng oras ay yung po mga staff din ay matigas din ang ulo. Kahit ang gawin mong meeting, reminders, pag hindi ang may-ari ang mag-follow up ay wala din. Salamat po sa input. Talagang kinopia ko yung kasi ito po sa lahat ng establishment sa buong Marinduque. Ito po i-remind natin, Commissioner ni Doktora, kasi ito yung pinaka-important. Alam na naman po ng pagpasok mo na dyan ng lahat yung mga alcohol, mga ganyan. Pero, magiging aware kita sa mga guests. Ano po kaya, Doktor, ang masasabi niyo daw?
Bago ko sagutin yung kay Ma'am may nalimutan ako eh. Yung how do we dispose?
Tama po.
How do we dispose our PPEs properly? Although part ng healthcare waste management dapat ma-develop sa province, pero for the meantime, ano ang dapat sabihin? Kasi kami, ang ginagawa namin, iniipon namin yung mga mask na ginamit, no? At hindi dapat yan isasama sa regular garbage. Hindi po dapat yan isasama sa regular garbage. Iniipon po yan, tapos nilidisinfect namin. Yung usual, alcohol, or pero saan namin tinatapon? Nakikitapon kami sa RHU. Kasi ang RHU, meron po silang disposal ng mga infectious waste. So baka pwede kayong makipag-coordinate sa mga health facilities na
Sir Jerry, at saka si
para
Ma'am Susan, pag-aware din natin kay Mdcq.
yung mga health
Ang hinalaang ulit natin na wala pong pirma.
kasi di ba, sinasabi na sa news kung saan na nakikita yung mga bilang mo isang tao, isang araw, at least isa. Kaya, kung gagamit ka ng disposable, dapat alam mo kung saan mo dapat yun itatapon. Kung reusable
So hindi pala talaga dapat isama sila.
Diba? So dapat dinidisinfect din po yung mga reusable. So yun lang po remind natin. Doon po sa matitigas na ulo na Jess, wala po tayong magagawa kundi
Pabalikin.
paulit-ulit natin silang i-remind. Kasi kung yung ating mga empleyado, yung mga, anong tawag dito ba dun sa concierge? Sa mga
Front desk.
receptionist,
Front desk.
yung mga yan. Room, anong tawag dito sa
Room attendant.
Na dapat sila rin yung nagre-remind sa guest. Siyempre, in a proper way, yung polite way. Para rin sila, sa mga matitigas na ulo na empleyado, sila rin nare-remind kapag sinasabi nila na wear your wear your mask properly. So yung iba, nakababa hanggang ilong, yung iba hanggang baba, yung baba at yung nakakpan. So mali yun. So, yung ating mga empleyado, turuan natin in a nice way paano ito convey sa message dun sa mga guests. About the contact numbers, kasi po, time and again, yun yung nagiging problema talaga. And nangyari na national, di ba? Dahil yung sa equivalent, hirapang hanapin, etc. Pero ang mga sa mga PNP, ang galing nila mag-trace. Yun sa, ang tawag mo Doc, yung isang section ng PNP, CIDG. Nasubukan po namin yan sa isang kaso rin, no? Kailangan mahanap report or tinap namin sa CIDG. Aba mamaya meron ng pangalan. Andun po siya, sinunod sa ganyan. Pero beside the point, ang importante po ay salamat. Kala ko, Marito, nag-ground out talaga.
Hello.
Napupur pala, napupur.
So, kailangan po talaga, kung gano'n na tayo pwede mong i-explain ano ang importance ng pagbigay ng honest information. No? Pero, actually, mayroong batas sa surveillance na pwede natin gamitin pang kaso Pero, hindi naman siya masyadong nagagamit. Kaya lang tatakutin po ba natin yung case natin? So, not necessarily. Kailangan,
Working bench.
again, yung tamang communication or tamang message.
Sinanggap ba siya ng
para i-deliver.
certificate
Kung
na
tayo
sa-
magsasama, ulit natin i-inite sa kanila. Dapat ibigay mo. Bago umuwi, ibigay na yung tamang contact number. Naalala ko yung bagong-bago tayo sa COVID, na taga-kabilang probinsya, diba? Pinauwi natin. So, kung meron tayong guest magde-develop ng symptoms, dapat po i-consulta o i-refer sa ating rural health units kung saan naka-establish yun or kung saan nandoon yung establishment
Invite na lang
kung respective
invite si Ma'am
or
Susan at Sir Jerry to present.
i-refer po natin yung guest. And the rural health units have the proper authority na to handle the guest if ever mag-develop ng symptoms.
Padala mo na lang. Medyo matagal lang.
Or okay po ba yun?
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. We understand that some of our participants has also some question with or to Dr. Garcia, but we will accommodate those during our roundtable discussion later. Okay. So we have here a certificate of appreciation to be given to Dr. Rachel Rowena Garcia, and it says that this certificate is awarded to Dr. Rachel Rowena Garcia, Provincial DOH Officer, for imparting her valuable insights and inspirations to the participants of the first Marinduque Tourism-related Industry Conference, given this 24th of February 2021 at the Marelco Conference Hall, Barangay Ihatub, Buwak, Marinduque. May I call on Ms. Susan Nace and Mr. Jerry Hamilia for the awarding of the certificate of appreciation.
Sige, mag-diretso ka. After na, diretso mo lang interview.
Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Rachel Rowena Garcia, for giving us some time and giving us an update as regards DOH guidelines and policies. We would like also to remind everyone that in the interest of time, magkakaroon po tayo ng working lunch. Ano po? So, to continue, on our next topic, our next speaker used to be the chief of Marinduque Provincial Hospital. He dedicated 3 decades of his life in public service. That's why he is called as Doktor ng Lalawigan. Ladies and gentlemen, our Provincial Health Officer, Dr. Gerardo Caballes, to talk about the signs on the reopening of tourism in Marinduque.
Ay, sige. Magandang tanghali na. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat, no? So, yung pong as announced by Myong, no? I'm supposed to talk about the science on tourism, reopening of tourism in Marinduque, no? So medyo mabigat po 'yon. Dahil hindi ako epidemiologist, no? I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a scientist, but rest assured that I'm reading all the materials na pwede kong mahawakan, no? Na ang pinagmumula naman ay mga experts, so that I think with that I could give you some basis, some guidelines, no, for that matter, kung paano po tayo gigiya kung pwede na tayo mag-open or hindi pa dito po sa turismo natin, no. I was instructed by our Honorable Governor, actually, to present to you some of the activities and interventions that the province has done or had done in the past year, no? Almost 1 year na po ang COVID sa atin. And I think I will not deviate from that instruction kasi sa tingin ko, by letting you know yung pong mga ginawa ng provincial government, ano, along with the interventions done by the municipal health offices and the municipal governments dito po sa Marinduque, would probably a better material for you para mag-glean nyo po from these activities yung capacity and capability ng province, no, to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, and from that you could conclude whether the health system of the province is equipped enough to assist you in case mag-open po tayo sa turismo, no. Actually, the science behind yung pong reopening is based on the principle ng so-called hammer and dance principle. If you heard about it, yung pong hammer would refer dun sa situation na tumataas yung mga kaso ng COVID, no? The transmission, the probability of transmission in a community is high, and therefore the economy is affected because takot lahat na lumabas, no? Without mentioning, of course, the restrictions that the government is imposing sa ating pong lahat, no? From the national government to the local governments, for that matter. So yung dance po naman refers dun sa situation na umuunti yung mga kaso, no? So that as the term implies, pwede po tayong sumayaw at magsaya dahil ang economy ay pwede nang buhayin, no? Dahil maglalaks during those period, maglalaks po ang restrictions, and therefore the economic activity will be increased, no? So doon po tayo pupunta. I'll inject that principle, and later on I will make the necessary adjustment to the presentation, so that I could give justice to the task that is assigned to me this morning. So if we may now go dun sa next slide, no? So by the way, I titled the presentation as the timeline of activities and interventions of the province of Marinduque with regards to the 2019 COVID-19 pandemic. So kung matatandaan niyo po, no, the engagement ng probinsya dun sa first PUI na dumating dito po sa ating province, no, was a Chinese, actually, three Chinese nationals na nagkataon na nag-check-in sa isang hotel dito po sa ating province, no? We immediately, when we heard of that particular incident, dahil mainit pa yung national news, no, tungkol po sa kaso ng novel pneumonia na nangyari sa Wuhan, at marami pong namatay doon, no, to the point na ang WHO declared that incident as a matter of health emergency. Nakatanggap po kami ng information on January 31, 2020, no, na di umano ay may isang a group of Chinese nationals ang nag-stay sa Buwak, no. We verified the information, talked with the owner, manager actually of the hotel, at we found na yung Chinese national na yon came actually from Hubei. Hubei is the province where the Wuhan city is located, no? So because of that, na-alarma po kami. I immediately called the governor informing him of the situation. Kasi during the time, wala pa pong national guideline on how to respond to this kind of situation, no? Lito kami noon dahil hindi namin alam kung ano yung gagawin doon sa kasong yun, no? Kasi wala pang ang national guideline. We are, of course, we are concerned on the effect of the situation dun sa foremost yung sa hotel owner. Second is on how we handle and how to respond to that. Kasi nga, walang guideline. Pwede kaming makasuhan kung mali yung galaw, no? So immediately, I contacted our Honorable Governor, knowing of course na former justice siya, so medyo malakas ang loob ko na kung anong sabihin niya ay to the letter I will execute, no? Nasundan pa po yan. Nasundan pa yan, no? Nung 2 days after, noong January 31, may mga dumating na Chinese nationals again. Siguro mga... Bakit magalaw? May dumating po ulit, no? 2 days after that January 31 incident, may dumating po ulit na grupo ng Chinese nationals, no? Around mga 7 or 8 na Chinese nationals. Dumating po dyan sa Balanacan at nagpipilit actually na pumasok. On investigation and in coordination with our Bureau of Immigration, kasi mga Chinese nationals po siya, nag-coordinate kami sa hepe noong BI natin dito sa Marinduque, and we found that 2 of them are actually Chinese nationals coming from Hubei, no? So na-alarma po ulit kami at I decided then na nag-concur naman po sa akin ng BI na hindi papasukin yung Chinese nationals, no? Actually, sa totoo lang, sinusuhulan pa kami ng actually, ito yung babae, may isang Chinese, no? Hindi ko matandaan kung sino dyan. Ito po yung kanilang kasama, no? Na later on, counting chismis, nalaman namin na girlfriend ng isang fan, Chinese national. So hindi po kami pumayag at pinabalik namin yung yung Chinese nationals na ito. Of course, per instruction din ni Governor, no? So during that period, we really set the tone na we are serious, the province is serious in protecting the citizens ng probinsya against the threat po noong COVID-19. No? So because of that, immediately on February 3, 2030, nagpatawag po si Governor, no, ng stakeholders meeting para po to discuss yung next steps of preparations and interventions against the threat of the 2019 pandemic. No? At immediately, nag-issue po si Gov ng Executive Order number 13, 2020. Ano? That was dated February 2, 2020 po. No? Yung Executive Order. Kasi even before the meeting, kasi may information na nga po, and I suggested na mag-convene immediately at mag-prepare na po si Gov ng Executive Order. Kaya yung date is as early as 2nd day of February ay meron na po tayong Executive Order to effect yung travel restriction intended to contain, no, and control and mitigate yung situations that can be brought by the COVID-19 situation. Next slide, please. Hindi ma-control. Next slide. Okay. So on February 4, almost simultaneously po, we created a Facebook page to provide a reliable source of information about the 2019 novel coronavirus and the activities being done to protect the province for possible entry and infection. Kasi we felt then na kailangan mag-communicate kaagad sa public, no? Because pag walang communication, hindi alam ng publiko kung ano yung ginagawa ng gobyerno, then panic could easily set in. No? So, hanggang ngayon po, we are improving that PHO Facebook page. Actually, one time na-hack pa yan. Na-hack yan eh. Talagang maraming mga kababayan natin dito ang walang magawa sa buhay, no? Sa halip na tumulong ay perwisyo ang hinahanap talaga. So, next slide. So, yung pong during that period, the DOH approved ISCs about NCOV were reproduced, no? And put on different strategic areas such as seaports. Doon sa church po, naglagay kami. Yung iba doon sa mga poblasyon ng iba't ibang bayan, no? Na frequently visited ng mga tao, no? Intended of course for info dissemination. On February 5, no? We had an organizational meeting calling yung lahat ng stakeholders sa health, no? Ang primary intention is of course to screen passengers arriving from seaports, airport, and other points of entry in the province in response to the executive order issued by the governor for the necessary preparations. Next slide. So on February 6, because of that order, we had a coordination meeting with the PPA, Coast Guard, Bureau of Immigration, AMH Chomugpog, and the PDOHO, headed by Dr. Garcia, about the deployment of health response teams in all seaports and airports for screening of all arriving passengers. Because ito yung primary response natin para ma-seal off yung province against the possibility ng mga visitors that might carry during the time yung novel coronavirus, no? So, okay, can you go back dun sa slide? Balik. Si balik.
Doktor, control niyo po.
Ayan, sige.
Ayun na po.
Okay. So, yeah, siya yung, dati, I think, nag-resign na si Sir, no? Siya yung BI officer head. So, immediately, nakipag-coordinate kami sa kanya because ang concern natin noon are mainly foreigners, especially from China. At yung mga countries during the time na reported na may mga kaso na, no? Such as yung Macau, China, Hong Kong, at saka I think Singapore, ang mga naunang nagkaroon, no? So yun yung talagang binantayan namin. So on February 7, nag-set up agad po tayo ng simulation dry run activity for the screening of all passengers arriving at the port of Marinduque, no? As part of the efforts to prevent entry of NCOV in the province, together with the organized health response teams from the WHO, DOH, REACT volunteers, PPA, PNP Maritime, and the Coast Guard. No? REACT volunteers are actually among the first civic organizations na tumulong po doon sa response. Okay, on February 7, nag-dry run kami ng activities mainly from Balanacan, no? At later on, the following day, I think, is dun sa airport. So, pero ang instruction sa amin ni Gov is to cover all entry points. Kasi that's the best way to really seal off, no? Medyo mahirap pong gawin yan, pero we were able to respond with the help of all the stakeholders ng Marinduque health system, no? Of course, with the technical assistance given by DOH PDOHO, headed by Dr. Rachel, no? So, kung matatanda mo po, ito yung Gasan Airport. So, we highlighted yung mga si Senator Go ito, si Congressman Velasco, no? Ito yung sa Kawit. We even covered Boyabud Port and Gasan Seaport. Then later on, turned over those areas dun sa respective municipalities, no? So nag-respond naman po yung mga munisipyo later on. So we covered Kawit Port in Boac, and of course Balanacan Port. So si Director Makilod po yan, at saka si former boss namin, no? Si Dr. Ernesto Marquez. This is actually the airport then during those period, no? So na-cover po namin lahat ng areas. Hindi na kontento si Governor actually. At sabi niya sa akin, mas maigi kung yung mismong point of entry ang bantayan natin, no? So in other words, that paved the way to the Talo-Talo port of origin deployment ng response team para doon pa lang ho ay masala na yung mga may simptomas and probably hindi na payagan na umentra doon sa Marinduque, no? To avoid the previous incidences na pinababalik natin sila. That is the case noong nangyari doon sa mga Chinese nationals. Kasi nagkaroon kami ng issue doon na papaano daw, na masahin na sila, etc. No? So we were even threatened na ididimanda kami. So sa loob-loob ko naman, di magdemanda ka. Ang kalaban mo ay former justice ng Pilipinas. No? We decided through the initiative na rin ho ni Gov na magtayo ng screening team, no? Dun sa Talaw-Talaw Port. During those period, no, nagustuhan actually ng Talaw-Talaw yon. Kaya noong March 12, 2020, nag-request sila ng meeting para matingnan at ma-explain ng Provincial Health Office yung system na nilalagay natin sa Marinduque at doon sa Talaw-Talaw. So ito po yung kausap namin, yung mismong manager noong Talaw-Talaw Port. Ito po si Colonel, yung PNP chief na nagko-cover ng area. Kasi during that time, parang lito sila rin eh. Lahat naman tayo lito during that time kung paano ilalagay yung sistema. No? This meeting paved the way dun sa further cooperation noong Talaw-Talaw management para po matulungan tayo even dun sa mga tao na dineploy namin dun sa Talaw-Talaw. Actually, nilibre noong mga huli yung accommodation ng mga tao natin doon. No? Okay, on February 18, 2020, dahil nalaman po natin na sa ayaw at sa gusto natin ay hindi natin maiiwasan na papasok yung mga tao. Kasi we cannot close down our ports and airports forever sa tao, especially to our own citizens. No? Na later on, yung tawag po natin dyan, matatandaan nyo, are LSIs, yung mga, at yung mga returning citizens ng Marinduque. So, ang sabi namin nun, we have to prepare the system para po in case na mag-open tayo at hindi tayo makaiwas sa tumanggap ng mga tao, our health system will be equipped enough para mag-respond dun sa situation. No? And we are guided naman with so many guidelines, no? From the DOH, from the IATF, and other pertinent agencies, tulad po noong sa sector ninyo. No? So, we coordinated with Director Gumabol din, no? Yung DILG Provincial Director, and emphasize and reinforce the DILG MC number 2020-018, no? Which guides to action against coronavirus, emphasizing the need to organize the BERT, or the Barangay Health Emergency Response Team. Okay. So because of that, noong February 21, 2020, nag-orient po kami ng lahat ng barangay officials, no? The orientation was done by the governor himself. Nag-assist kami technically sa kanya during that period. Because alam naman po natin yung importance ng political structure para mas maayos yung daloy at yung pagpapatupad ng mga guidelines, no, na ibababa sa atin. Okay, last quarter of March, together with the PIDOHO and the MHOs of District 1, we also engaged Marinduque State College COVID-19 Task Force on the following. Kasi kailangan po natin multisectoral eh. We cannot fight effectively yung COVID-19 kung hindi po tayo magkakasama-sama dito, no? So, we explored and we were successful on engaging the MSC institution then, headed then by Dr. Manny, at ito po yung naging output, no? Number one, yung research unit po nila, no, ay tumulong sa atin sa profiling of the PUMs and PUIs. Wala pa yung COVID kaya technology, nag-attempt na po ang probinsya, no? Especially yung pong nag-attempt yung province na sandali po. Nandito na po si Governor. Sir, good morning po. Okay.
Jessica?
So yung engagement po namin sa MSC, no? Because we really need the help of everybody para po maka-respond tayo effectively sa pandemic is we engage yung sa profiling, no? Sabi ko nga, wala pa yung COVID kaya technology ng national, ay nag-attempt po ang probinsya, no? At with the help of the MSC, na magkaroon tayo ng IT tool for the surveillance, no? Pero na-override yan later on noong maglabas ng IT tool yung COVID kaya nga po ang national government, no? Along with that profiling is of course ginastusan po ng provincial government, no? Ang pagpapatest using the antibody test across the province anong mga PUMs and PUIs. Katakot-takot na dami po kasi niyan. So with the instruction ni Governor, we tried to profile it at kailangang i-test. Kasi without the test, hindi natin malalaman kung ilan ba yung may positive at paano ka gagalaw kung hindi mo alam yung real status noong mga tao, no? During that period, ang best available tool is of course the antibody test. At ito naman po ay sigon dun sa dun sa guideline during the time issued by the DOH, no? So in addition to that, nagkaroon din po tayo ng MOA for the establishment of a community isolation unit, now called TDMF. Kasi naisip po namin na kailangan natin ng prototype para makita yung actual operation ng isang facility dahil syempre bombarded lang tayo noong theoretical yung pa lahat theories na nandun sa guideline. So we need really to immediately put up a facility para po maging learning facility yan para sa ating mga MHO. We've been successful on that at nagamit po yan ng 3 bayan sa District 1, no? Nakapaglagay ng pasyente dyan, especially yung Buwak, yung Gasan, at saka ang municipality of Mdcq. We organized the human resources structure there. It was headed by the MHO of Mdcq, Dr. Muhi. So that operated for several months until the time na na-rescind, no? Yung MOA. At sa ngayon po, as a matter of fact, ay kinukonsider ng BOAC yung MSC at saka Santa Cruz, I think, no? Using the model ng ginawa namin noong una at magamit yung MSC for the purpose ng TTMF habang hindi pa nagbubukas yung school, no? Hindi makontrol. Next slide. Hindi makontrol. So, yung pong last quarter ng June to July, no? Hindi nagkasya yung provincial government doon sa ibang tulong. At again, with the instruction po ng ating Honorable Governor, ay nag-train kami ng birds across the 6 municipalities. No? Ginastusan po yan ng provincial government. I think the provincial government is spent about 1 million pesos para po ma-augment yung training ng birds, no? With the knowledge na kailangan natin yung hertz ay ma-equip kasi ito yung mga frontliners talaga para ma-combat natin yung COVID-19, ano, sa kabaranggayan, no? So we did an organizational meeting with some key personalities of each municipalities at na-roll out yung program ng training from last quarter ng June up to the last quarter ng July. No? Next slide. So other activities, we had a coordinating orientation activities with several seaside barangays. Kasi alam naman po natin na ang isa sa pwedeng pagpasukan ng mga, sabi nga natin, matitigas ang ulo, sabi ni Mamita, no? Ay yung mga seaside barangays. At nangyari yun, no? Actually, nag-attempt yung mga tao na pumasok sa Marinduque, no? Na ayaw nilang magpa-screen at sumunod dun sa protocol, no? Through the seaside barangay. So what we did, through the instruction ng ating governor, ay mag-coordinate kami, and we did that, no? At may mga success stories po yan, at that curb somehow yung possible entry ng mga tao na ayaw magpa-screen, no? That could have made a difference dun sa profile ng cases natin dito sa probinsya during the time. So we also attempted deployment of response teams in ports of origin in coordination with appropriate officers and point persons. Kasi bukod dun sa Talaw-Talaw, gusto ni Gob, natauhan din ang Romblon sana, Mindoro at Quezon. Pero sa totoo lang po, hindi namin nagawa yan dahil na rin because of limitation sa ating human resource, no? Anyway, hinigpitan na lang natin yung ating mga ports of entries dito sa probinsya, no? That we could easily control. Next slide. So, ito po yung those were the activities, paulit-ulit po yung ginagawa. So, I would like to highlight yung isa pang inad namin dito, ano? Especially during the period na kailangan po natin ito when we rolled out the vaccination program. So, through the help at assistance, no, ng MNN, kay Namyong, nagkaroon po tayo ng radio program, no? Sa tuwing Webes at saka Monday. Actually, kuminsan hindi ko mapuntahan because sa dami po ng gawa ako, no, sa provincial office. Pero nonetheless, we are doing those programs, especially during the times na kailangan po nating magbigay ng informasyon sa ating mga kababayan. Ably assisted po ako ng aking HEPO officer, Miss Jenny Cabrera. Next slide. So, with those interventions, sabi ko nga po, no, mas maganda nating i-present yung mga nagawa ng provincial government bago tayo mag-discuss dun sa task na binigay niyo sa akin ngayong umaga, no? Na actually ngayong umaga ko lang po nakita. So anyway, mag-a-adjust ako to respond to this particular task na inassign sa akin, no? So what is the science? So before we go dun sa science, tingnan po muna natin yung present situation ng Marinduque, no? So tulad na ng sinabi ni Dr. Garcia, the province of Marinduque, as I speak now, no, is maganda po ang profile, no? Minsan pumunta tayo dun sa situation na naging number 1 tayo sa Mimaropa, na to the point, number 1 dun sa pangit ang profile, no? Pero we responded to that very well, no? Na ipapakita ko po sa inyo, supported by data, no? Mamaya, no? So, let me first discuss yung present situation natin ngayon, no, as I speak. Actually, kahapon ito, mainit-init pa. So, January 24, total cases po natin, tulad yung sinabi ni Dr. Garcia, only 5 na lang. Okay. February, sorry po. Inaantok na yung gumawa ng slide. That's February 24. So, total active cases, 5. Ano po? So, ang distribution yan, 4 pa sa Santa Cruz, isa na lang sa bulk, no? With a total of 5. As I speak now, may 282 cases tayo ngayon. Kasi ngayon po, hindi pa nag-detect yung aking surveillance officer at wala pang kaso. Actually, iniintay na lang natin ay 28 specimens, no? At karamihan po dito are actually healthcare workers na ini-screen namin at tinitest regularly every 2 weeks, no? Especially those in the hospital facilities. Okay, next slide. So, ito po yung sa ngayon, recoveries kahapon is nag-recover tayo ng isa, kaya naging 5 na lang yung active cases, no? Unfortunately, we have 13 deaths. 12 of them are COVID-related. Next slide. So, yung breakdown po ng number of cases by municipality is shown, no, in this particular slide. So, most of the cases are in bulk, 99, followed by Buenavista and Gasan with 42 cases each. Santa Cruz has 40, Mugpog has 35, and Torrijos 24. Next slide. Okay. So the question is, para masagot yung tanong nyo, the science behind. We have to really evaluate yung our health system sa ngayon. So, in the evaluation of our health system, we use 2 parameters. Yung so-called ADAR. ADAR would mean, ano ba ADAR? ADAR is average daily attack rate. So these are cases in the past 12 weeks, 2 weeks, divided by the population multiplied by 100,000, meaning the average cases per 100,000 population in the past 2 weeks. So 2WG are 2-week growth rate, which is the growth noong kaso in the last 2 weeks compared dun sa previous 2 weeks. So this is an analysis of a 1-month period kung ano yung nangyari. So I would like to bring your attention dun sa system itself at kung paano ito ginagamit. Next slide. So ito po yung gamit niyan. So yung average daily attack rate, yung ADAR, which are cases per 100,000 population which I mentioned, yan po ay kina-classify dun sa pag ang result nung when you computed the ADAR, pag less than 1 siya, then ang less than 1 will be low risk, medium is 1 to 7, and then high is more than 7. Then yan po ay i-correlate natin dun sa 2-week growth rate, which is expressed in percentages. So, pag more than 20% siya high, medium is 0 to 200%, and then low siya pag less than 1,000. So, pag kinunbay mo yan, kung halimbawa, yung 2-week growth is high, and the average sa daily attack rate is high, ang suggestion that will give you yung sinasabi ko kanina na pupunta ka dun sa hammer portion noong model natin. So, we have critical yun, and therefore may possibility na baka mapunta ka sa ECQ in order to curb yung trend ng cases. Pumunta naman tayo sa yung parehong low, yung ADAR at low, yung 2-week growth rate, minimal po ang analysis dyan at pwede ka nang pumunta sa inyong normal. So, using these parameters, then we can be guided dun sa question, question nyo na pwede naman magbukas yung tourism business ng Marinduque. No? Next slide. Pero I would like to state here na hindi lang po ADAR at 2-week growth rate ang ginagamit dun sa desisyon. No? More than this is of course yung healthcare utilization rate at connoting yung healthcare capacity ng buong probinsya. No? So combining this with other other factors such as the economic issues, then the all stakeholders, no, led of course by the local chief executive, would come up with a decision. No? Ito po yung gatekeeping function natin at to finally decide whether what kind of community quarantine status would the province or for that matter the municipality would be. Okay? So yun po yung gamit noong health standard yan along with other factors, no, dun sa decision whether to open or not. Next slide. So ang tanong kasi is yung capacity ba natin to respond to emergencies such as nung nagkaroon ng surges, yung sinasabi niyo po kanina na ready na kayo na mag-open tapos only to find out na biglang tumaas ang kaso. So tinignan po namin yung data, no? Medyo malabo sorry. Yung data ng February 6, no? Compare dun sa data ng February February 23. Yung halos 1.5 months na data, no? Kasi 2 weeks, that's 4 weeks, tapos 2 weeks, no? So that's almost 2 months. Yung profile po natin nag-improve doon, no? Naging negative tayo both doon sa ADAR at saka nag-less than 1 tayo, nag-less than 1 tayo dun sa ADAR at nag-negative tayo dun sa growth rate. So ang ibig sabihin nun, gleaned from that data, may capability tayo to respond. The structure is there. So it's a matter of putting some leadership on that, no? Which I think the provincial government is giving naman at this point in time. No? So next slide. Next slide. So yun yung comparison, medyo malabo. No? So nung pong January 25, noong nagkaroon ng surge yung cases natin dito, almost pinuntahan tayo ng national government. No? So during that time, on my point of view, that was a test kung kaya natin mag-respond or not. No? Kasi kung hindi natin na-curve yung situation, then probably the conclusion there is very obvious na hindi natin kaya. Pero I would like to assure you and to report to you na nakapag-respond po tayo ng maayos. No? And through the leadership ng provincial government, no, led of course by our Honorable Governor, nakapaglagay po kami ng 10-point interventions during that period. At ito, yung magiging guideline natin, ano? This is how we will respond in case the similar scenarios would evolve or come up in the future. So ito po yung susundin na natin. At ito po ay ginawa, no? Noong buong health system ng province, of course, led by the municipal governments at saka yung mga kabaranggayan natin. No? So, foremost of which is we reinstituted yung previous provincial directive to the municipal health office to monitor arrivals of non-APOR in their respective areas of jurisdiction and to strictly subject them to the mandatory 14-day quarantine. The daily list of the arriving persons must be forwarded to the PHO. Cut-off hour is 4 p.m. every day. Kasi nakita po namin na isa ito sa nag-relax. No? Yung monitoring sa kabaranggayan, medyo nag-relax nung bumababa ang kaso. So the governor issued an order, no? Na to reinstitute at maging more mahigpit tayo dun sa implementation ng previous directive na yan. This was supplemented by the extension ng travel restriction covered by AATF Memorandum RATF Resolution number 92, pertaining po ito doon sa mga restriction ng mga foreigners, no? Coming from countries where variants, UK variants were detected, no? So, nasundan pa yan ho ng other issuances ng DOH, at sa ngayon may huli po at in-enumerate nila doon, ano? Yung mga countries na we should be cautious in dealing with, no? Hanggat maaari, wag muna nating tanggapin, no? So, ayun naman na kanina yung discussion nyo pertains lang do sa local tourism. So, more or less, hindi na natin pag-uusapan tungkol dun sa dun sa foreigners. So, number 3 is underscoring the whole of government guiding principle. Okay. Guiding principle and operational framework in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, activation of the most granular action point of our COVID response, the Barangay Code, no? Code meaning coordinated response to detect epidemic, is a critical intervention that must be pursued. This critical intervention was communicated with the Barangay Liga presidents of the 6 municipalities in attendance nung nagpa-meeting po si Governor noong January 22, 2021. No? The DILG Marinduque was requested to help the LGUs to monitor the effective and responsive response of barangay boards towards this goal. Next slide. Okay. Number 4, with regards to APOR, it's persistently observed that the use of APOR privileges has been abused by some. No? To address some operational issues with regards to the sector, it was agreed in the aforementioned January 22 meeting that the pertinent and appropriate AITF-DOH guidelines pertaining to the sector must be applied, with the end goal of abating the transmission and increasing number of COVID-19 cases. Specifically, and in response to issues raised by some of the MHOs, the provincial government, not through the Executive Assistant Russell Madrigal, no, na in attendance po dun sa meeting, before issuing a travel order to anyone to or from Marinduque, it must be communicated and coordinated with the concerned municipality. No? So yun po ang naging arrangement. And this is what we are doing para ho ma-address yung issue na nire-raise ng mga MHO. Number 5, to encourage all national and LGU offices to designate a COVID officer of the day, no? To remind everyone of the appropriate and uninterrupted practice of minimal health protocol in our workplaces. Kasi napag-alaman po namin na dun sa mga spikes ng cases, nangyayari ito sa workplaces. May isang national agency actually, no? I will not mention the institution, na nagkaroon ng transmission dun sa workplace niya. So na-abate naman kaagad yun, na-carve namin yun because proper technical assistance were given to them at nag-respond naman appropriately yung mga head, yung head ng office of that particular institution. So next slide. Number 6 is strict implementation of quarantine and isolation protocols and timely, no? Hanggat maaari sana within 24 hours conduction of contact tracing, no? To it, number 1, immediate isolation of symptomatic patients with epidemiological exposure to community TTMF, no? So dapat lahat po sana ng may symptoms ay nasa community quarantine. At mahigpit yung instruction ni Governor dyan na dapat wala na nasa home quarantine. Kasi alam na po natin na although pinapayagan ng national government yan, no? Alam naman natin yung kondisyon ng mga bahay natin dito sa probinsya. Especially those dun sa mga kabaranggayan. Sa mga mauunlad pong mga pamilya, bihirang-bihira ang may 2 o 3 CR sa bahay, no? So, anong hahanapin mo dun sa mga bahay nung pinakamahihirap na lugar at pinakamahihirap na pamilya sa atin? So, that's the reason, yun po yung pinaghuhugutan ng directive ni Gov na higpitan natin, no? Yung symptomatic patients na dapat ay nasa TTMF at wala sa mga home quarantine nila. Actually, yun po ang isang dahilan, no? Sa totoo lang, kung bakit, as I speak now, yung kaso natin pa isa-isa na. Kasi every time makakabalita kami, no, sa PHO, na merong nasa home quarantine, tinatawagan ko po ng personal yung municipal health officer at reminding him or her na kapag nagkaroon ng surges, we will hold him or her responsible primarily or report the same dun sa kanilang respective local chief executives. So effective po yung system na yon dahil kahit papano yung talagang may paisa-isa pa rin na talagang nasa home quarantine at naiintindihan naman namin yun kasi wala talagang mapaglagyan. So, but nonetheless, that particular action provided some results na nagbigay sa atin ng maayos na profile at this point in time. So, under that intervention is the immediate isolation of RT-PCR confirmed cases to municipal TTMF. No? At contact tracing and home quarantining as much as possible should include the second generation of close contacts. Kasi ang national guideline po, nakatutok lang sa close contacts. Although sinabi niya na ini-encourage tayo na isama dun sa close contact tracing yung second or even up to the third generation ng close contact. Because that is the best actually and the cheapest way para ma-curb yung surge ng kaso. No? Okay, next slide. Number 7, issues of rapid antigen testing to those who by the assessment of the MHO and physician should be immediately identified for COVID-19 infection. No? So ginagawa po ito ng ilang bayan at dito sa amin sa provincial government, no, ay ginagawa po namin ito dun sa mga health workers namin sa provincial hospital. No? And as a matter of fact, included na po yung lahat ng provincial employees, no, to the directive ni Gov na screen na lang lahat para ang intention nun actually is para maagapan, no, at ma-detect yung mga kaso para makapag-respond appropriately. So, number 7, routine testing of all health personnel every 15 to 30 days. No? So, ginagawa po namin yan. Actually, inaamin ko na ang provincial health office ang medyo may sabit yan. Kasi ang daming tumatanggi doktora talaga Kasi sabi nila, wala namang sir kami sa field. So, but I'll see to it na they will respond appropriately. Promise yan. Number 9, provision enhancement of TTMF in all municipalities in as much as possible in every barangay in the province. No? So, ito po yung pinapakiusap namin sa lahat ng bayan, hanggat maaari mga barangay, na dapat may tig-iisa man lang, no, na TTMF. So ito yung responding dun sa question ni Tita Mita kanina na for example, may mga turista at kailangang mag-isolate. So saan mo sila dadalhin? Kasi syempre, pag dinala mo siya sa isang facility na hindi komportable, hindi na babalik yan. No? So this is something that we have to talk about. But rest assured that the provincial government through the PHO in coordination with the municipal health offices ay tutulong po sa inyong sektor. No? So just ask for it, then we will accommodate. No? At yun naman po ang gusto ng ating governor. Okay, ma'am? So assurance po yan from our end. So, nauna ito, ano? Ito yung next slide na dapat yan yung huling slide. Okay. So, gusto ko lang pong pahapyawan, no? Yung COVID vaccination program na kinakasa natin dito sa probinsya. Although naantala yung arrival ng vaccine. No? Supposedly, ang promise ng national government is marolyo yung vaccination program ng third week or second week ng February. Pero alam naman po natin yung nangyari. No? Even Secretary Galvez apologized dun sa pangyayari po. No? So wala tayong magagawa kundi maghintay na sana ay dumating kaagad-agad yung vaccine. Kasi ako personally, I believe despite of some propaganda given or perpetuated by some sector, ako po naniniwala na ang pinakamabisang solusyon ng COVID-19 para makabubuhay na po natin yung ekonomiya is of course yung vaccine. So of course, itong tatlong ito, yun yung usual na standards na dapat namang gagawin natin palagi. No? So this is actually, ma'am, yung nire-remind at discuss kanina ni Dr. Garcia. The other, ito po yung naglabasa, no? Yung avoid crowds, avoid poorly ventilated spaces, interact with other people in less than 15 minutes. So, itong anim na ito is actually the parameters that the tourism industry should address. No? Para po wala tayong sabit in case na magbukas tayo. At rest assured, whatever technical assistance we could give you, then the provincial government, not through the provincial health office, would be glad to give you. Ano po? So yung huli, of course, ito yung vaccine. May mga, nung isang araw, nag-lecture ako sa police, sa PNP, because may 43 PNP personnel ang nag-say ng no. So, fortunately naman po, na binigyan ko ng lecture, no? So, actually, this was my first slide sa presentation. 23 or 24 slides. At after naman ng discussion, nangako yung halos lahat, no? Na magpapawako na sila. So, umiikot ho kami, especially dun sa mga offices, no? Na mag-request ng lecture. Kung may sector kayo na medyo natitingnan nyo, maraming ayaw, I am more than willing to present the lecture that I presented dun sa PNP. Well-researched po yun. I used the materials ni Dr. Salvania, yung pong nag-present ng vaccination program sa Congress. So inipon ko yun. Yung isang epidemiologist at molecular scientist na isang pare na nagkumbinsi sa buong simbahan, no, na magpabakuna na. Sa matter of fact, kung mapapansin nyo po, sa Oratio Imperator ba yan? Nandun na yung statement ng simbahan na dapat magpabakuna ang lahat. No? So I coordinated also with Bishop Maralit 1 week ago para po makatulong natin dun sa vaccination program. So next slide. So ito po yung organization noong ating operation center, no? Vaccination Operation Center. It was chaired by yours truly, co-chaired by DILG, no? At ito po yung mga stakeholders na iba assigned dun sa different functions, no? We will provide the secretariat at ang implementing agencies are of course the private sector at mainly yung mga municipal health offices. This is of course under the overall supervision and of course ng ating Honorable Governor, no? At yung aming pong head sa AITF, yung ating pong provincial administrator, si ating pong kaibigan si Mike Velasco, no? So yun po yung present na struktura. So we are, I am in close coordination with PA. No? Okay, so yung last slide po, yung kanina. Actually, this is last slide. Para lang mapakita po sa inyo na nakapag-submit na tayo ng microplanning, no? Ng probinsya sa DOH. At ito po yung total so far noong unang batch. Yung Group A, dun sa priority na babakunahan, may 17,960 tayo na nakalista. Okay? So, ang uunahin, ang balita ko is of course yung mga frontliners. Pero I think our Honorable Governor at saka si Speaker, Lord, ay gumagawa ng paraan ho para may isama tayo dun sa priority list. Kasi sa totoo lang, nasa huli po tayo dun sa listahan. Dahil nga dun sa maganda namang profile noong region at ng probinsya patungkol po dun sa mga kaso natin. No? So with that, that's the last slide. So I think, I hope I give justice dun sa gusto nyong makuha sa akin at ma-impart ko po sa inyo. No? If there are any questions, then I'm more than willing to answer them the best I can. Pag hindi, tawagin natin si Dr. Garcia. Okay. Sir. Okay. So, kung wala na. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caballas, for an extra detailed presentation. So you started on how the province did their part in protecting the citizens from the potential high risk of the COVID-19 by implementing discipline and strictly following all protocols. And based on the data that you have showed, I can say that you have answered whether we are ready or not for tourism. And for the data from February 6 to 23, it shows that, and you have also mentioned that we have the capability to respond to the pandemic, and with the support of our strong leadership from our provincial governor. And before we proceed to the reactions, we would like to acknowledge, of course, the presence of our dear Provincial Governor, Honorable Presbytero Velasco.
Also, Karen, we would like to acknowledge the presence of Attorney Joselia Bighani, the Secretary General of the House of Representatives, as well as Engineer Christopher Morada, Regional Director of the Morales, Regional Director of DOE Mimaropa.
Okay. And together with them is Honorable Melgabal and Cabo, the chairperson for the Tourism Committee. Okay. And for the next part, we are inviting Sir Jerry Amelia to address a question to Dr. Caballas.
And then,
It will be followed by the presentation of the certificate and then the induction of the tourism officers.
Thank you, Karen. Magandang hapon na po o tanghali sa ating lahat. Governor, magandang tanghali po. Dr. Jerry, based on your presentation, yung personal kong interpretasyon, nasa level naman tayo na kaya nating i-handle ang sitwasyon dito sa Marinduque. In fact, may isang pagkakataon lang na tumaas, pero generally, we were able to handle the situation kung hindi man excellent, nasa magandang sitwasyon nga. Sa sa palagay ninyo, base sa mga lugar na nag-open na ginagamit na procedure ay ito pong parang 5 siya. Number 1, it's either RT-PCR test, negative result, antigen, and then the guest must, after securing the negative result, they have to book with a DOT accredited establishment contact a DOT accredited travel agency. The provincial government through the municipal governments will also identify destinations that are open, meaning they are complying with the basic safety and health protocols. At hindi sila pwedeng pumunta dun sa hindi naka-identify na destination. Ibig sabihin, those who are interested to visit the province will have to follow all the procedures and the destination only offered for tourists. So, sa mga hotel sa Mampo at lalo na yung mga accredited po ngayon, they are strictly following the health and safety protocols. Ano po ang palagay ninyo kung susunod tayo do sa procedure na yun? And then, do wala po kaming data, we have appors nga na medyo sabihin natin na abuse ng kaunti noong may mga panahon na abuse. Pero we found out that these appors who are following strictly the health and safety protocols ay wala naman tayong naging problema. So, sa balagay ko para nag-add ka lang ng isang category, if they will follow these procedures, nandun tayo sa safe level. So, yun po ang tanong.
Ang tanong is, anong masasabi ko dun sa 5 na sinabi mo? Okay. So, of course, to answer your question, sir, it all boils down to one thing, no? Dapat, yung system mo ba, na ang intention mo is maiwasan yung pagdami ng kaso dun sa lugar na pupuntahan mo, is well capacitated at could respond dun sa any eventualities. So, that is similar to dun sa line of questioning ni Tita Mita kanina. Okay? So, my answer there is the tourism industry players themselves should be in the forefront noong system na yan. So, sabi ko nga sa iyo, yung health system ng Marinduque naman, yung structure niya is in place. No? Siyempre, may mga deficiencies tayo. But those deficiencies are also found in other places. No? And even to the best places na ang akala mo is perfect yung system, magugulat ka na may mga pagtaas doon. No? So sa akin, ang question ko doon is, let us put a system na kabisado ng lahat, no? At alam kung paano mag-respond using this system. Okay? For example, I'll be very, very specific. You mentioned about yung test. No? I agree na especially those people coming from areas na matataas ang kaso, I agree. You have to test them para sigurado tayo. Yung mga lugar probably na hindi matataas yung kaso, kung magiging issue yung pag-test dahil hindi kami pupunta ng Marinduque kasi pagpunta namin dyan, nagre-require ka na ng test, gagastos kami ng 3,000. Tagal-tagal pa ng result na makukuha ninyo. Then, what's the point? Napunta kami sa inyo. So, punta na lang ako dun sa isang lugar na walang gastos. So, tinaalaw kami as long as na we follow yung minimal health protocol. Diba? So, yung mga ganong issue, no? So, the industry should be ready to address that. In collaboration, of course, with the health authorities ng locality, no? So, meaning the provincial government and municipal governments. For that matter, kung maayos natin yung barangay governments natin, then so much the better. Pero so far, the way I see it, we have to talk either with the provincial government or the municipal governments first. As we try to convince people, we have to really improve our facilities. Kasi at the end of the day, yun yung magiging barometro ng mga pupunta dito in case na magkaroon ng problema. For example, kung dumating dito, na-test sila sa Manila or na-test natin dito, kung yun ang regulation natin. No? Most probably, the easiest way because the best parameters, of course, the RT-PCR pa lang. No? Not until the time na meron na tayong molecular laboratory dito, which by the way, ay pinupursu po natin, no? Through the help ng ating gobernador at saka ng speaker, hopefully magkaroon tayo dito kagad-agad para immediate yung result. So, dito natin ititest. Kasi syempre, mas gusto natin na dito i-test kaysa sa iba. Diba? Kasi kontrolado natin yung system. Hindi ko naman nasabi na baka peke yung resulta na galing sa labas. Pero, to be secure about it, it's better na tayong gumawa. Diba? So, I think everybody will agree on that. So, kung for example, na pumunta ka dito, nagkaroon ng aberya, walang simptomas, negative. Habang nandito, nag-develop ng symptoms. So, the system should be ready. Ready yung hotel or yung facility na pinuntahan ng turista. Alam niya kung paano mag-respond. Kung paano immediately kausapin, for example, yung turista, i-refer dun sa appropriate facility para maintindi yung kanyang simptomas at pangangailangan, and therefore, or kung talagang may simptomas at mukhang COVID, ma-refer sa isang maayos na facility. Kung meron tayo nun, at ready ang probinsya to those kind of yung mga kailangan, no? Then probably, kahit bukas, magbukas tayo. Okay? So, yun yung kailangan pag-usapan. So, another point is, sa halip na magturuan tayo at mamula dun sa kung ano yung kulang natin, pwede ba magtulungan na lang po tayo? Kita naman natin ang galaw noong pinakita ko sa inyo, di ba? Katakot-takot, milyon po ang ginastos ng provincial government. Sa totoo lang. Hindi lang kita yan eh. Hindi lang lutang yan, no? Pero I'm telling you, the provincial government spend a lot of money para maayos po natin yung situation natin. And I think, to be fair with us, provincial government, malaking tulong yun eh. Kung bakit nandito tayo sa sitwasyon natin ngayon. No? So again, of course, with the help and with the collaboration ng mga municipal governments na tumulong naman po talaga ng gusto. So kung i-maintain natin yung ganong klase ng cooperation at collaboration, then I think kung tatanungin mo ako, pwede, no? Pwede tayo na mag-open. Kung kailan yun, I think part of the question, part of the answer, ay dapat manggaling sa inyo mismo, yung industry mismo. Kasi kayo po yung unang contact noong mga turista. Hindi naman provincial government ang pupuntahan nila. So, saan pupunta yan? Hindi yung tutulugan nila. Yung kakainan nila. No? Araw-araw. Diba? Ang assurance namin, ako personally, I think, mapupukpuk naman natin yung mga dapat pukpukin dun sa mga, sa mga institusyon natin. Ako, malakas ang loob ko, no? With the support, with the kind of support that we are getting from the leadership, probably, I think, malakas ang loob ko, sabihin ko, kaya po natin. Kung may kulot ng kaunti, pagtulungan natin na makorek sila. Sa halip na humanap tayo ng akapula noong sistema natin dito. Iyan ang problema kayo sa Marinduque. Diba? Sa halip na tumulong, ang hanap, ano ba yung mali? No? So, pwede ho ba, tigil-tigilan na natin yan. Kasi yan yung kultura at mentalidad na humihila sa ating pareho pababae. Okay, so I hope I responded appropriately dun sa question mo. Thank you po. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Terry. Very well said. So, malamang ang mangyayari nito is the sector will be talking, presenting parang sort of proposal or the flow on how things should go at i-evaluate ninyo para makita kung tama ba based on procedure at saka yung capabilities ng bawat isa on how to respond, handle situations ngayong sa new normal. Thank you, Dr. Terry.
And we would like to present the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Jerry Caballes, Provincial Health Officer, for imparting his valuable insights and inspirations to the participants of the first Marinduque Tourism-related Industry Conference given this 24th of February 2021 at the Meralco Conference Hall, Barangay Hato, Buwak, Marinduque. Signed by Susan M. Nase, MTDC President, Gerardo M. Familia, Senior Provincial Tourism Officer, and Governor Presbyter Velasco Jr., Governor of Marinduque. May we invite our Honorable Governor, Ma'am Susan Nase, and Sir Jerry Familia to present the certificate to Dr. Caballes. Okay, so now to proceed to the induction of the members of the Tourism Council, may I call on Sir Jerry Familia.